Happy Women's Month. I'm sure many of you have been very busy celebrating women. And I've had several interviews, but that's not the point. The point here today, what I'm going to speak about is the heart. And you know, the heart says many things about us, and I would love us to really pay keen attention. What do we say to people? How do we say it? What is our heart's intent as we say it? Because I've been doing a little research on a heart of stone. You know, the heart of stone is unkind. It lacks compassion. It is lifeless. It's like no emotion there. And God promises us that He'll give us a heart of flesh. He will remove the heart of stone. So it is important to really meditate on what we do when we are speaking to people. Because I remember when I was growing up, I was surrounded by many people. And for the sake of protecting I think for the sake of covering those particular people, I will not go into what they said, but I remember the outbursts of anger that would be among adults. The words they would say, it was terrible. Words I don't want to repeat here. But I also want to caution us, what do we say to people? And how do we say it? Because if you are also filled with bitterness, you are filled with anger, what you speak is going to reflect what is on the inside. And the Bible tells us that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So it starts from within. You don't just say it. So according to Psalm 19, it says, the last verse of Psalm 19 says, "Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be pleasing in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer." And why do you think that is said? Because the truth is, it starts with how we meditate. And I know I mainly talk on mental health, and that's why I'm focusing on this, because this affects our mental health. What do we meditate on? Before we even speak, what do we meditate on? Because these things that we meditate on can either make us healthy or they make us sick. These things that we meditate on, especially when you're saying, oh, she didn't apologize to me, oh, the other one hurt me, but they did do this for me. But it's about time that we move forward. You and I, we need to move forward. And I will relate to Isaiah. There's Isaiah 40, it's Isaiah 43, verse 18, specific. And that verse says, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past." And I've always asked some of my siblings, yes, our parents have made some mistakes along the way as they parent us, but we are also human. We've also made mistakes. So I asked one of them, and I said, yeah, so the mistakes were made. So when you dwell on it, does that mistake go? No, it doesn't. So we need to learn to allow God to heal us. And we also need to embrace the healing journey, because the healing journey means you're going to be vulnerable. Sometimes you're strong, sometimes you're not. Yeah, there are tears here and there on the healing journey. That is the truth. Sometimes you're down, sometimes you're up. But what's important, stop focusing on what people said. It's about time you start focusing on what is God saying about you. One of the things that have helped me along this life's journey, yes, especially after my brush with bipolar affective disorder, what has helped me is to understand that, you know what? Don't dwell there. Life happened, challenges happened, learn from that process. Be stronger from that process. Now begin to pour yourself in others, but first, be at the feet of Jesus to learn. and heal. Season, I'm going to read it from, I had written it in my notebook right here, about seasoning our talk. And according to, this is in Luke, Luke 6:45. It says, a good man brings good things out of the good stored in his heart, and an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. So our thoughts will definitely be affected with what is in the heart. What have you chosen to meditate on? So your thought patterns will be affected by that. Then another thing that is affected, of course, when we meditate on something, all these things, our thoughts, our meditations, they'll be determined by what we consume. So if you're consuming pornography, why are you shocked that every time you look at a woman, you're stripping her naked with your eyes, in your mind actually? Because what you consume, that is what you consume. Even in your private time, what are you consuming? You know, what do you read? Then another critical point, what company do you keep? I shared a verse today, you know, showing with my family members that the company that we keep, the truth is, it will influence you, that company you keep. So are you keeping yourself around easily angered people? Is that your company? Are those the people you keep company with? Because good morals will definitely be corrupted by the company you keep. So another thing that I want to say, to share, is let our speech be seasoned with salt. Actually, Apostle Paul says in Colossians 4:6, let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person. So that is very important. How you should, we should know, but it takes you having speech that is seasoned with salt. You know, salt preserves. Salt is a flavor. So what is your talk preserving? Need to ask yourself these questions, because even as you walk this journey of healing of your mind, your talk will heal you or it will break you. Another thing that I have also observed on this journey of healing, journey of recovery, when you are talking and you're talking about other people and grumbling, I'm telling you, you'll always find people who are bitter, people who are grumbling. They're not happy people. And you'll find eventually that they actually are dealing with plenty of health issues, aside even from their mind. The mind battles, aside from that, because that talk is not seasoned. And since we are celebrating Women's Month, I want to challenge every woman who listens to this video. In whose life are you speaking? You know, as women, we are very, very blessed to be nurturers. But also as women, it is easy for us to break generations. So who are you speaking to? And who is speaking into your life? And those people who are speaking into your life, what are they saying? And that person who you are speaking into, in whose life you're speaking into, what are you saying? Because there's that talk, which I want one day, I'm hoping it will end, but there's that talk that women are not for themselves. But I'm glad to say that lately I've actually met women who desire the growth of other women. So it's important, even as you walk, as you're climbing the ladder of your career, as you're excelling in different areas of life, which woman's hand are you holding? That's one. Two, which woman are you speaking to and encouraging? Because if we all came together and started to speak life over each other, the world would be a better place to live. So as we celebrate Women's Month, and for me, I know as women, really, God has given us a big mandate as nurturers of generations. May God be merciful to us. Forgive us where we have gone wrong when it comes to speaking, especially also over other people's children. When it comes to speaking over our in-laws, especially when it's a sister-in-law or a mother-in-law relationship. May God have mercy upon us where we have used curse words, where we have used horrible words into those people's lives, speaking those words into other people's lives. So as we reflect on this Women's Month, as we celebrate it, I want us to make our mental health priority. And let us also learn to speak life over ourselves. Because again, I'm going to quote again in Proverbs 18:21. I love quoting the Bible when I'm talking about mental health, because that's an aspect many people kind of ignore. But the truth is, there's power in the Word of God. The Word of God heals. The Word of God restores. The Word of God brings restitution. The Word of God recompenses. I am testimony to that. I have seen God restore me, and I know He's still restoring me. So back to what I was saying, Proverbs 18:21. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. So whenever we are speaking, let us remember we are creating. So all of you who are discouraged out there, because you might be going through a crisis, whatever it is, something is bothering you, something is challenging your life, whatever it is, learn to speak life over that situation. Yeah, sometimes it sounds crazy, especially the truth is when you also look at your life and you say, honestly, everything is falling apart. But you know the way God works, it is in those moments when things are falling apart. He shows up and He works best in those circumstances. Because as what we think is falling apart is actually preparing a new foundation. He's preparing a new foundation such that at that point of restoration, our former glory is better than our latter, not former, our latter glory is better than our former glory. I want to emphasize that our latter glory is better than our former glory. Like Isaiah 55:8 says, our thoughts are not His thoughts, and His ways are not our ways. And even though this is Women's Month, as we celebrate the women, I want to also celebrate the men, especially men who are holding women's hands, men who are involved in their daughters' lives, and for good, because even as you're involved in your child's life, what are you planting? Even as you're holding a woman's hand, what are you planting? Because at the end of the day, we women as nurturers, we don't nurture only girls. We don't nurture only women. We are also nurturers of the men, of the boys. As I end this mental health moments with Angela and Nsimbi, I leave you that question. What are you planting? Have a lovely day.